Welcome back to the National Hurricane Center. This is Ken Graham. We're live here in Miami, Florida, with the latest information on Tropical Storm Nicholas. The time is 10:13 Central Time, so let's go and get the latest information that we have. Let's start off with the satellite here. We have the aircraft. Hurricane hunters are out there right now looking at the structure for us. But one thing you notice, just the large nature of this storm. It's a large area of cloud cover, and you can see right in the middle where the aircraft are. They're really trying to pinpoint where the center is. And actually, we've had several centers with this storm. Remember last time we talked, there was an erratic movement with this storm, and we switch over to the radar. You can see some of this. Right now, the latest we have still 60-mile-per-hour winds. We're about 45 miles northeast of the mouth of the Rio Grande River. So that's the Rio Grande River. So the center somewhere up in here, but we've seen small centers here. We've seen other areas, mid-level circulations. We've seen several different circulations with this storm. But the big bottom line here is several different centers, but all this moisture and all the impacts are headed closer and closer to Texas and Louisiana with time. And we're going to focus a lot on those impacts because they're going to be pretty significant here. So this is the latest forecast we have, 10 a.m. Today, Central Time. The location right here, that's that location about 45 miles northeast of the mouth of the Rio Grande River. So with time, we expect the center to continue to move northward towards the Texas coast, and by tomorrow morning, already inland with the system. So later on today, this evening, we expect it to get very close to the coast. But remember, we looked at the satellite, we looked at that radar. I mean, think of it, it's not just this single point. This whole huge area of moisture is continuing to move closer to the coastline. So with time, so this is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, inland just north of Houston, and then headed to Louisiana during the day on Wednesday. And this is an important point. We're going to talk about the rainfall here in a little bit. And you look at the structure. I'm actually going to do something unusual. I want to go back to the radar real quick. Remember the structure of these storms. When you have the center, you have all this rain out ahead of it. But remember the tail. You have that tail end of moisture. So with time, you start really looking at where we're going to be with time. And I think we're going to put this back up here. So even with the systems here, think about the rainfall. You still have all the rain around the center, but wherever that tail is, you're going to get continued rainfall in those rain band areas. So it's not just on the coast. Even you start getting into later this week, that tail end could bring rainfall to portions of not just Texas, but all the coastal areas and inland areas of Louisiana with time. So that's something to bear in mind as we start looking at the actual forecast for the rain. Focusing on the winds still, the winds are going to get in there right around the center. All this orange and the red area is your highest probability of getting those tropical storm force winds. And that should start arriving on the coastline this evening, around 8 p.m. This evening. So you're going to start seeing those gusty winds right along the center and in those rain bands as well. So let's take a look at some of the impacts associated with this big rain event, life-threatening rain event unfolding as we speak. We talked about not just on the coast, but look over areas of central Louisiana, even inland from the Texas coast, both the central and the upper Texas coast getting some of those rainfall totals. But in orange here, that's 6 to 10 inches of rain. It's a huge area of 6 to 10 inches of rain. So most places could get 6 to even 16 inches of rain. Some places get 20 inches of rainfall. And if that comes down too rapidly, it becomes a life-threatening situation. You get river flooding, you can get urban street flooding, just a significant rainfall event. So not just on the coast, so Corpus Christi up through Houston, Lake Charles, Beaumont, back through Alexandria, I-10 stretching across about like this. So any one of these areas are going to be a very dangerous situation. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center did an outlook and really looks at areas that are most favorable for that flash flooding, a high risk, as high as you can get for portions of the central Texas coast, south of Galveston, Freeport, Matagorda, those type of areas just have that high risk. But not only that, this is Corpus Christi. This is significant through Houston, Beaumont, Lake Charles. Look at this huge area, including New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Natchez, some of these areas under that moderate risk of flash flooding. So it's not just on the coast. You follow this storm with time, that's just a significant amount of rainfall. So dangerous, life-threatening situation associated with that, and also the storm surge. Did want to show you some of the storm surge values that we have here. Storm surge warning out for portions of the Texas coast, Matagorda Bay, 3 to 5 feet. San Luis Pass back to Port O'Connor. Look at that, 3 to 5 feet storm surge. That's inundation. That's water up your pant leg. listen to those local officials. If you're in some of those areas that are really prone to storm surge and flooding, and if you don't need to be there, well, listen to them and get out of some of these areas. Galveston Bay, 2 to 4 feet. Significant amount of storm surge, even from San Luis Pass back over to Rutherford Beach in Louisiana, 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. So that's the latest information. So don't necessarily focus on that track. Don't necessarily focus whether it's tropical storm or it reaches hurricane strength. It's about the impacts. And it's a life-threatening situation when it comes to this rainfall. We'll keep you posted from right here at the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida.